Hey everyone, my name is Megan and welcome back to What's Your Why. Today's episode is going to be taken over by the amazing Laura Duffy, who is such a beautiful human being. I found her on social media a while back for the amazing artwork that she makes, and during this conversation we talk about the relationship we have with ourselves as teenagers and how that evolves over time. And one of the reasons why I admire Laura so much is because she's so self-aware and has put in so much work with that relationship with herself that I think we can all learn so much from her. So sit back, relax and enjoy.
Well, my name is Laura. I'm an artist and illustrator. I'm a small business owner and I'm self-employed at the moment. I went full-time in March 2020. I've been doing it for like 2 or 3 years before that, just as like a hobby on the side, and then it snowballed into something that I was able to make like an actual job, which is the best thing ever because it just suits my personality to the ground. And yeah, my quality of life has very much gone up since I took that leap.
Why did you decide to take that step?
I was working in an advertising agency. It was a really good experience, but it was like miles away from where I live. Like over time, that really started to like not work very well. So I ended up, I was doing the art stuff on the side. Like I was doing little commissions for friends and stuff, and like people seemed to be interested. It was starting to like build a little bit of a income, and I was like, oh, maybe I could make money out of this. So the minute I started thinking that it could potentially be something I could make money out of, I started shifting into like, okay, how the hell am I going to make this my full-time job? Because I love doing it. I don't necessarily want to be in an ad agency for the rest of my life. What do I need to do that? So I just like spent a year saving and figuring it all out. Well, attempting to figure it out. I never really knew what I was doing, but and then I quit. I was like ready to quit by March, and then Corona hit, and it just like, it was bang on timing. My last day in work was like 2 days before we went into lockdown, and I wish I was like, yeah, I lost my job because of COVID, but I lost my job because I chose to lose my job. It was nothing to do with COVID, so it was just weird timing. But I was just so lucky because it ended up working out really well, and it meant I could work from home the whole time, and I ran with it, and it's been great since then. Thank God. Which is just like, I still wake up in disbelief because I'm like, how is this my job?
Is it like working for yourself and just doing something that you love so much?
I don't want to over romanticize it, because at the end of the day, it's still like a job. It still has all those stresses that you might have in a job. But for me and my personality, I'm very introverted, and I've always been very kind of anxious with people. So working in a big office space didn't suit me very well. I didn't know it at the time, but I would be extremely anxious all day, and I didn't know why. And I know now that it must have been because I was constantly having to be on all the time. Mm-hmm. And working for myself, I'm kind of in this little bubble, and then I can reach out to people when I want to, and I can like communicate with people on my own terms, and that just suits me so well. So I'm a lot less anxious. And then also, we have to work from home at the moment, but I love working from home. I love being able to come down the stairs in my pajamas and just work in my pajamas all day if I want. And and then obviously the creative side means I get to like, most of my job isn't actually that creative because it's all the fulfillment and figuring it out and doing all the logistic sides. But when I do get to sit down and like draw and just create for a while, it's just like, it's magic. It feels bizarre that it's actually something I can do for a living.
I'd love to get a sense of your story.
It's kind of been an up and down road. I always tend to go towards describing myself as like the quiet girl. Like I feel like I've identified with that stereotype for a long time, and only now in the last year do I feel like I'm slowly breaking out of that, just because of my job, and also just a little bit of reflection work of like, I don't have to fit that mold forever, because I was always really quiet in school, and I had my set friends, and I didn't really go outside of that, and I was just terrified to speak most of the time. I was definitely loud as a kid, but as I got older, I think, I don't know, I got really consumed, like so many people do, into that like idea of impressing boys all the time, or being popular in school. And because I wasn't able to ever succeed in that, like I just I never ended up being a popular girl in school, and the boys weren't flocking to know me or anything. So because I couldn't achieve those things, I just kind of quietly sunk into like, okay, well, the boys aren't going to like me, and I'm not going to be super popular in school, so I might as well just keep my mouth shut and get on with it. Even though I wanted that more than anything. And I think that held me back, because I put all these people on pedestals, like people in my school that, like, they were lovely people, but because they were popular, I would put them up here and I'm like, I couldn't dare talk to them because they're so cool and they have all these friends and they're so pretty and blah, 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 blah. All these reasons why I was not worthy to speak to somebody. But it's all just stupid shit in my head that I'm lucky that I've gotten over it now, because it really held me back for a long time, and I just ended up not going for things that I wanted to go for, and not enjoying my life at all until maybe in the last couple of years. Funny enough, it's coming through in the pieces I'm making and the subject matter more so though of what I want to end up creating, because I'm almost creating for the person I was then, to try and convince her to snap out of it, because a lot of the stuff I was kind of going on in my head at the time was around how I was coming across to boys, and I ended up kind of shifting my personality and changing myself in so many ridiculous ways just to like impress a group of boys. That, you know, the feminist in me is like, fuck's sake. But it's a reality that was my life, and now I'm and that tied into my body image, that tied into the way I saw myself, the way I dressed, the way I talked, the jokes I made, the jokes I laughed at. Everything about me at that time was in order to fit a mold that I thought might make them like me, because apparently that was the biggest thing I needed at that time, which it just wasn't at all. But for some reason I thought that was my end goal. So over time of kind of figuring this out, I'm realizing that the stuff I'm making now, I try to make it as body positive as possible. I try to make it kind of focused on who people are as people rather than like looks, and I try to make sure that even if the piece isn't about body image at all, that I'm representing different types of bodies, different types of skin, different types of like anything, just so that if there is a 14-year-old 13-year-old following me and they see those things, that they might go, oh wait, maybe that boy that I can't seem to get to like me doesn't matter as much. Maybe I can just be me and just get on with my life. So I think that's how it's translating into now.
Is there any pieces in particular that you have there now that you're most connected to your younger self through it?
This is a print I did that actually doesn't sell very well, surprisingly, but I don't really mind. It's one of my favorites, because it basically was to make me feel better about the fact that I don't always love myself. If you're gonna have ebbs and flows, and I was kind of struggling with that, like I might have like maybe 3 days where I'm really accepting of my body, and I don't have as much negative talk, and then one day something will happen and I'll end up just like absolutely not thinking about anything other than my own appearance, and then I'll feel like a failure because I'm like, oh, I was working so hard to fix this and now I'm back to square one. So this one is literally just about that, about kind of the constant back and forth and the cycle of it, I suppose. So that one's one that I really like.
Where's your relationship at now with your body image?
This is actually something I was talking to my friend about. It's kind of funny that we were talking about body images. I've actually gone up in quite a few sizes over the last few years, and I'm bigger than I was when I was a teenager. And I remember as a teenager, I had a lot of like fat phobic thoughts, because I just was constantly worried about whether I wanted to fit in my slinky dress to go to the disco. And I thought that was the most important thing in life, which is the worst ideology I could have possibly had. I'm so glad I'm out of that. But because obviously I've gotten bigger over time, I was saying to my friend that, God, if knowing what I used to think back then and what I look like now, younger me would probably scream and run for the hills. She'd probably be like, what have you done to yourself? But like, I still live a healthy lifestyle. My body's just changed over the years. It's just the way things work when you grow up and you become a woman. Like, it's not that big a deal. And my happiness now is skyrocketed compared to then. And that just shows you that your size doesn't correlate to anything in your life other than your size.
What's something that you love about yourself?
Here's me talking about how far I've come, and that question is just like, oh, I don't know. I like my smile, and I like my ability to see the little things that bring me joy. That's something that's kind of new for me, in terms of, it's only in the last few years that I've kind of really focused on spotting those little moments throughout a day that are just like magic. Like the little things of whether your dog does a yawn when you're looking at him, or the way the sun comes through the window, or I'm trying to tune my brain into noticing them and like having a moment and going, wow, that's fucking cool.
What's your why?
Good one. I suppose there's kind of two. There's one from the selfish point of view, is that this life that I'm creating for myself now gives me as much happiness as I can get, and I want to keep continuing in life, making any decision I need to make to allow my happiness to thrive, which I know sounds selfish, but it's something that is important to me, because I just think, why bother if happiness isn't the main priority, and happiness rather than success as well. It's regardless of what that might look like, as long as I feel somewhat content in my life most of the time, then I think I'm winning. So that's one. And then the other one is something that's opened up for me since doing all this, is to connect to people a lot more. Over the years, because I've considered myself like an introvert and a shy person, and I still would, I've always considered myself one of those, I was like, oh, I'm so shy, I must hate people. But it just isn't true at all. It's just, I was nervous of being my full self around people. That was the only thing. I actually really, really like people, and I love connecting with them and hearing what they have to say, and hearing how they're dealing with things, and doing all the art stuff, even if it's just a silly illustration I post up, hearing people like talk back and forth with me, and being able to chat online, that hopefully once the pandemic is over, I'll be able to meet up with some people in person and actually meet some of these faces, because I've made so many lovely connections with people like yourself that are just like really, really nice and have great energy, and that people that I know I would like thrive around. And I'm excited for all the connections I'm yet to make in life, and how many friendships that are yet to blossom and will continue to blossom, and all of that. So that's something I think I'm focusing on much more as I get older, is my connection with other people.